Discovering truth. Discovering truth. I'm listening.
Hello viewers, welcome again to Discovering Truth, and I am Pastor Forbes from the Gateway Abiding Word Ministries here in the Gambia, West Africa. We are now in the second week of January 2026, and I am in part 3 of the series we started entitled Positioning for 2026. That is aligning ourselves so that we prepare our lives to be successful, to have growth and direction in this new year. We said that positioning means aligning. It's not just good to have great ideas and start running. The first thing is to position, to align, if you like, to refresh, to reboot, to recalibrate, and to be ready. And so the last Tuesday, which was the 30th of last year, December, because it was towards the end of the year, I spoke on part 1 on how to position for this new year we are in. And I talked about how the level of water was increasing in depth as a man called Ezekiel, in the vision that he saw, kept on moving. What is key is that the water was flowing regularly, and if he stayed at that one point, it would have just been at the ankle level where he started. But the water was flowing and he was also moving. And he realized by empirical measurement that after some distance of walking, which is progress, that's like January, February, March, maybe April, when a measurement was done again, the water level had increased from his ankle level to his knee level. And while the water kept on flowing, the days kept on going, July 1, July 2, July 3, July 4, July 5, all the things we've come to know as global citizens. You know when it's Independence Day, you know when it's Easter, you know when it's Tobaski, you know when it's Republican Day, you know when it's Olympics. We just know the calendar because everybody has a calendar of 2026. The banks will give you a diary. Everybody has a calendar. And you can tell. So in the regularity and the normalcy of this movement of life, the water flowing every 24 hours is one day, every 168 hours is 1 week, every 4 weeks, 5 weeks is 1 month, and so we move. While that was happening in its normalcy, he was also making progress from where he was positioned. He moved and he realized that the level of the water in his life had increased from ankle to knee. So that's progress. And he kept on going, and at another juncture, it was measured and the water had come to his waist. And that was like a pivotal point, because any water level at your waist, it's like it's come to the middle part of your body. So you either keep going up or you are stagnant and you go down. And he kept on moving, and the next thing that happened was that the water level had risen until his feet that led him could not take him anymore. And the grace of God and the blessing of God and the river of God and the provision of God and the prosperity of God and the joy of God and the peace of God and the love of God kept him. So he was now swimming in the river. And as I said in part 1, I have been told that swimming is the only exercise that involves all of your muscles. So he was like really into this thing himself. And that's the plan for 2026. If we're intentional, if we're deliberate, if we're determined, and if we're disciplined, what started at an ankle level, an academic program, a business, an enterprise, something that's value added to your life. After some time, it will come to the knee level. After some time, it will come to the waist level. And after some time, the whole being is submerged into it for joy, for progress, for advancement, for peace and prosperity. So we talked about the importance of positioning. And last week we looked at a scenario where something happened really bad in Israel for the Hebrew people. They were not following God. They were doing things in their own way. Things were just becoming out of hand, anarchy, total dysfunction, ungovernable scenario. And sometimes if you look around some countries, you begin to see signs of that, when it looks like anything can happen. Levels of crime, levels of violence, all kinds of things are happening, and you're just wondering, why are we losing a grip, or why have we lost a grip? And we appear to be spiraling down. So God came and spoke to this young boy called Samuel and said to him, tell Eli, tell the leader, that he's not doing what he should do. He's not reigning in as he should. And I gave him authority. So because of that, I'm going to come down and I'm going to do something that would be unforgettable. It will cause the ears of everybody who hear it to tingle. It would be that effective and that impactful. And we ended last week saying what that was. God let the Philistines, a foreign nation, an opposing nation, come and fight with Israel. Every time this nation fought with Israel, God will be on the side of Israel. Some of you would know the story of David, the young boy, and Goliath, the giant, how David used a catapult and one sling and brought him down. Every time any enemy of the Hebrew people, since they left Egyptian bondage and captivity and they were walking towards their promised land, not 1948, but way back, they were walking towards that promised land. Everywhere where people tried to impede them, fight against them, their God will come to their rescue, because that was his desire. I will lead them. I am their God. I will give them a pillar of cloud, protecting them by day and guiding them in the night by a block of fire. But they chose differently. Because, we've always been told the grass is not greener on the other side. Sometimes it looks as if it's green. And if it is green, then you have to pay a lot for water to keep it green. So nothing comes free. So what happened was that the Philistines fought against Israel, and they fought hard. And Israel was shocked that, as at other times when they would have won, they lost. And not only did they lose, they lost in a spectacular way, negatively spectacular. First thing was that this box called the ark, which God had told Moses to build, gave him the dimensions, the specificity, the colors. It was inlaid with gold, and then wooden, and then overlaid with gold, and where it must be kept, and who should touch it, how it must be carried, everything about it, full instructions that everybody knew. And whenever they saw it, they knew that God was with them. That box was actually taken by the Philistines. They captured it, and nothing happened to them. It was a box that if you touched it, you would die, except you were the right person. And there had to be the priest. And they carried it upon two poles going into two corners on their shoulders, much like you are carrying maybe royalty back in the day. So you'll have a priest here with the poles and the box there, and then two priests. And the poles had to be upon their shoulders. That was the instruction of it. The Philistines came and took it away. They didn't mind any instructions from God, and none of them died. And that was so significant that somebody came and told Eli that, sir, things are bad. They have captured the ark, and even your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, have been killed. When Eli heard that, he trembled in his old age, and he died, broke his neck. And his daughter-in-law, who was expecting, just had contractions, gave birth to a baby boy, and she died in childbirth. And the boy was named Ichabod, Ichabod. That word translated in English means that the presence and the glory of God has departed. That's not a nice name. That's a very sad name. It's like calling somebody failure, bankrupt, or calling somebody losses, calling somebody nothing will happen good. And so Israel wept, the ears of everybody tingled. What God had told that young boy happened. Now, while Israel was licking their wounds, if you like, this Philistine nation had 5 main cities. Off the top of my head, I can't remember them all. I know one was Gath, another one was Akron, and I can't remember the other 3. And so what they did was, because they were Philistines and they had their own god, they had their own deity that they made by their own hand, their own fetish god. They called him Dagon or Dagon. They kept this box in one of their cities. And after some time, trouble hit them. Hailstones and things began to fall down, like God began to judge them. And they couldn't take it. They said, it's this box, it's this box. Let's send the box to City 2. They sent it to City 2. They kept the box there. After some time, hemorrhoids, piles began to hit their bodies. And it's like, we can't handle this box. After some time, they locked the box before their God. And in the morning when they opened to come and see, the God had fallen down on the ground. Wooden God, wooden carved God. And of course, they worship this God, so they must have done what they do and put the God back on the table and apologize to the God, dust him, and the box was just there. They locked the door, they went. The next day when they came, the wooden God was fallen, and the arms, the wooden arms and the wooden thighs were broken. Then they knew that this God, this box is speaking. Even though it was captured from Israel, this box, don't play with this box. So when they had had these successive traumatic failures and indescribable calamity, they decided, look, let this box go back. We don't. In fact, they sent it to one time. They said, we don't want it. Please let it go. And then they decided that we're going to send it back, but we are going to be technical about this to find out whether this is just coincidence or whether it is a God incidence, whether this is being done by their God. Because we know how special this box is. But we captured it and nothing happened to us. But suddenly, city by city by city, there is chaos and trauma we can't handle. So this was their wisdom. Let's get 2 cows that have just given birth, that are milking. Let's take their calves from them, their babies, and let's yoke them together just the way you plow in the field. And because you have put 2 mothers whose babies have been taken from them, they're going to react. So if they fight themselves, then we know this is coincidence. But we are going to place them in the direction, position them in the direction of a place called Beth Shemeth. And we are going to watch. It's that direction that goes to the land of Israel. If the cows go directly there without any trouble, then we know this was done by their God. So they got a cart, put this box on the cart, and then they yoked these 2 mother cows to this cart and set them. And ladies and gentlemen, historical fact, those 2 calves that would have been, those two calves that would have been maybe Mbokantein, hitting themselves and fighting, they just went straight down to Israel. And it so happened that it was during the harvest season. So while they were harvesting their wheat, their barley, their corn, the things they had, they just noticed, some people noticed the two cows coming, and they could tell the box because it was golden. Maybe the sun was making it glitter. And they were all happy, they were rejoicing, they were rejoicing, they were rejoicing. And they brought this box. They kept it in the house of a priest called Abinadab, who had sons. And two of his sons, one's name was Ahio, the other's name was Uzzah, U-Z-Z-A or U-Z-Z-A-H. They were priests. They were the sons of priests. This box was kept in their home for 20 years. Not 2 years, 20 years. While Israel was figuring what to do. And when they had stabilized in their own thinking, they felt it was now time to bring this ark. So everybody was excited, and they went to make a new cart. Error number 1. Because I told you earlier on that the instructions of God were that this box must be carried by the priest upon their shoulders using 2 poles. So pole here, box, pole there, pole there. Priests. They put the box on a new cart. So that was problem number 1. And of course, the cart was being driven. Ahio was in front. And they were coming down because it was a descent. They were coming down, and it looked like the box was stumbling. And those 2 sons, one of them, Uzzah, reached out his hand to stabilize the box. And in touching the box, God struck him immediately. He died on the spot. So everything came to a standstill. David himself was scared, the king, because as they were bringing this ark, David was dancing. Everybody was celebrating that the ark had come back from the enemy terribly. So Ichabod has been taken off. God is with us again. But because we are excited in a year and excited with things doesn't mean that we must not do things the right way. This is a message to us as a country. All of us, from the top to the bottom. And so, in their shock, and David got upset, he was angry, and he was like, almost like, what again? What have we done? Why are we not getting this right? Well, you are not getting it right. And if you are not getting it right, you are not getting it right. Because God wants you to get it right. You must do right to get it right. We must do right to get it right. If we want it right, we must do right. Do proper. Do orderly. Do righteous. Do what is straight. So, in their not knowing what to do, they decided, let this box go and be kept in another man's house called Obed-Edom. Obed-Edom did not say, no, don't bring this to my house. This thing kills. They left the ark in Obed-Edom's house for 90 days. Well, that was not their plan. Maybe it was going to stay for 20 years as it did in Abinadab's house. But just in 3 months, 90 days, they noticed that Obed-Edom's house began to prosper. His family began to prosper. He had a massive turnaround. It was palpable, observable, viewable. People could tell that this box that kills also prospers. This box before whose presence a god died and his limbs were broken is prospering this man. And they sent a message to King David that this box is prospering this guy. You better come and take this box. And King David came for the box. And I'm going to stop here for part 3. And we are going to go into part 4 and ask, why is it that this box that stayed in one man's house for 20 years, we do not have any evidence that that man and his family prospered? Yet it was taken after it struck somebody dead into another man's house, and in the space of 3 months, his life was turned around. And by the way, both men had children and wives. And you know, sometimes when you have children, they're inquisitive. They want to go and touch, to find out, to open and see. In 90 days, nobody died in Obed-Edom's house. Nothing happened to him. Why? I'm sure you know the answer. He had positioned himself for a time like this. Nothing is going to happen in this country like that until we all, from leadership, government, political parties, religious leaders, the private sector, the press, the diplomatic people who say they're here to help us, until we all come together and position ourselves, nothing is going to happen. Check the nations where there is prosperity and advancement and growth. There is always a positioning. There is a blueprint that they follow. And they follow intentionally, determinedly, deliberately, and with discipline. Until I come your way next week, by the grace of God, with part 4, I pray you think about this, and may God help us. Have a good day.
Discover